Am I live? Yes, I am. Okay. Hello, stranger. Hello, hello, hello. It has been, I just realized it's been 3 weeks since I live streamed. I cannot believe 3 weeks have gone by so quickly. That sounds like a confession, doesn't it? You know, when you go to any of the Catholics among us, when you go to confession, right? And you go to the priest and you say, it has been 3 months since my last confession. Anyway, that's what it just reminded me of. It has been 3 weeks since my last live stream. And I just thought I'd jump on and say hello at the end of the week and share this message with you that I wanted to share. A very important one. So pop a comment below if you're here live, pop a comment below if you're here on the replay. I will always check comments back later. Hopefully I can see comments here. Okay, so yeah, I wanted to talk to you then today about these two levels of clarity required for success on our missions and also bringing the visions to life, right? So I share many different messages. So just wanting to say this before we get into this message, that really use your discernment as to whether this is a message for you, right? Because sometimes, you know, when you hear a message and you're like, that is so not resonant with me, it's not going to be resonant with you if you're in a certain place. So if you're in the place right now, for example, of deep healing and deep release work, and you're really kind of focused on that like deeper aspect, this may or may not be resonant for you. It depends. But this message particularly is more if you're on that kind of phase of your life where you're wanting to take action, you're wanting to really move and expand, get unstuck or just expand, and you know that you're here on a mission and you know that you're wanting to do things. This is the message that I want to share with you. So there are a few things I want to just share. I'm going to talk about the two levels of clarity in a moment, but just before I do that, I did write a couple of notes because I knew I'd go off on a tangent. So I wanted to really keep this as succinct as possible. Can't even get my words out. Hello, Neil. Hello. Oh, hey, nice to have you here. Yes, thanks for joining. Yeah, I can't even get my words out. It's been 3 weeks since I've live streamed. Although I have live streamed in my private membership group, just not out here. I just kind of felt like I had. Anyway, so right. So what I wanted to say was, the first thing I wanted to touch on is we need to have clarity, because if you're anything like me and you're creative and you're visionary, we can get so many ideas that come through. And I've had this where it's like, it's great on one hand. On the other hand, it's really annoying because it's like so many ideas come through and it can really clutter and cloud us, right? Like we could go here or here, we could move forwards with this. We have all these ideas and sometimes they come in thick and fast and it's really hard to discern between them. So that's why clarity is super important, and to know what it is. I'm going to talk you through in a minute, the two levels. And then the other aspect is the world programming, right? So every time we talk about anything around mission, creating, following our path, we've got to remember, and I'm sure most of you are aware of this, but let's just touch on it because I have to remind myself of this. There is a world programming all around us that is very much designed to derail us, right? We've got ads and music and lyrics and movies and all sorts of things embedded into pretty much every single thing around us, on our television screens, on our radios, like whatever you're tuning into. There's so many kind of sneaky little messages, right? And we understand that there are creatures and entities and all of that behind this. So we've got to realize and remember that everything is really stacked up on this planet right now to derail those of us who are here on a mission, those of us who are here. When I say mission, it might be for you that it's your own personal development and that's your mission, right? To be here and walk that path. For some of us, our missions are impacting the world in certain areas, right? Whatever that looks like for you. So there's a lot of energies here that are very much here to derail us, right? So we just got to remember that, and remember that when we don't have clarity, it is so easy for us to be derailed, right? You might have experienced this. I definitely have at certain points along the journey where I'm on the path and then suddenly I'm distracted with something over here, and then another message is over here. Somebody else is doing something cool over there. And, you know, we're just sort of getting swayed everywhere. And, you know, in the era that we live in, we have so much information. We have like lots and lots of quick information coming in. So we have information overload at the moment. That's just where we're at. So the clarity thing is one of the most powerful things that we can tap into, because when we have clarity, I really feel like it's soul knowing, right? It's more than just clarity in our minds. It's deep soul knowing, so that we're on the path. We know damn well where we're going. We may not know all the steps. That's okay, but we're on this path, right? It's really, really, really strong. So that's why I'm all about this. So 2 levels of clarity then. So it's not going to take long to explain what they are. But just so you can, so as you're listening to this, just notice what it feels like as I'm talking about these two, and try and pinpoint which ones of these, if any, you need maybe more clarity around. Because again, sometimes we're kind of going through life with all these ideas and plans and ambitions and things, and sometimes we just don't know which part needs our attention. So 2 levels of clarity. So number 1 is the big picture mission. So this is where it's like you've got this crystal clear clarity of what you're doing here on the planet, what you're doing here in your life, on your life path, and you're really tapped into your mission. So more and more and more of us now are being activated. Yeah, it's coming through even now as I'm channeling. Yeah, more of you are going to be activated. You maybe have been activated in part. Many of you are walking that path. You have either already been activated, or you will step into that. So we're all at different levels, and it's about having crystal clear clarity in our mission. So this doesn't mean that you have to have, like, let's say if you're similar to me, you have like a, let's say like a spiritual based business, right, to impact and assist people. That doesn't mean that you need to have every single step figured out for the next 10 years or anything like that. It's just about having this vision. So I'll give you an example of mine. Like I'm always evolving and shifting and changing my messaging and my maybe the energies that I'm sharing, all of these things, I'm fine tuning them all the time. I have this idea and a vision of my bigger mission is really impactful. It spans across different industries. There's a lot of things I haven't shared yet, but there's this big overriding kind of mission that I'm very much know that I'm here to share information, assist with energies, assist with healing, release, growth, all of these things. That is so clear to me. Like I know exactly, there is nothing, there's no like doubt inside of me, right? So we want that crystal clear, rock solid. And it's like how you know you've got it is because you know it inside of you, even on your worst day, even when you go into doubt. Because I have those days. Sometimes I wake up and I'm like, I quit being a star seed. I quit being a channel. I have those moments. They don't last very long, but I play in that energy sometimes, right, as a human. So it can change, it can evolve, but even on our worst days, our tired days, we know the bigger picture mission. So that's really important to have that level, because you know where you're going, you know what everything you're doing is about. You know, even these smaller pieces that are like, maybe they don't light you up so much, or there are aspects, say, of my business that I'm doing that I don't love necessarily, but I know when I plug into the bigger mission, it's really important, and then it fuels me, right? So that's really, really important to have that. So just check out for yourself. Do you have that sense? Do you know your mission? Do you feel like you're very rock solid with it? And I tell you, one of the most beautiful things on that is when I work with someone, it could just be like a private client, or I connect with somebody and we get into some of this. When we tap into the soul level mission, it's often, I'd say most of the time, it's bigger than we think. So not to scare you off and not to make this sound, overwhelming, but it's often bigger than we have given ourselves credit for, and bigger than we've allowed ourselves to know and believe. But once we tap into it, it can feel very emotional, actually. I know when I tapped into mine properly, like 2 years ago, I'd say, like really 2 years ago. And actually another thing's come through this in the last few weeks, actually, where it was like, oh, that's another part of my mission. Okay, I did not see that coming. I'll share that kind of later in the year. And it's like this emotional, that's how I describe it. It's like an emotional relief, it stirs you. It can really cause those deep feelings because it's soul level. This isn't from our heads, right? This is soul level. That's what I'm here for. That's true. That's what I really felt all along, right? That kind of level. So it's such a joy when I can tap into that for people. Um, and it's often like, oh, it's that big, it's that deep, right? So that is a wonderful feeling. So just check out if you have that. I hope that you do. And if you don't, at least you know that that's something that you get to step into. That's something you get to keep your eyes and ears open for, and receive that, right? Okay, that's the number one. And then the second level of clarity is the day to day. So the day to day clarity is, well, what do we do today? Right? So I'll use myself as an example. If I have this like big knowing of my mission, like what my brand wants to be, my company, how I want to lead it, the things I want to do in the future, like it's not time for that stuff yet because I'm not there yet. So what do I do today? What do I do this week? Right? What do I do each day? What are the aligned actions for me to take right now? So it's having clarity on those smaller steps, right? On those smaller day to day. And that's where to check this out to see if this is good with you or whether this needs a little bit of solidifying. That's where a lot of people get lost because they are maybe this is very common where I see in people where they're just looking outside. They're looking outside for strategy, and that person over there is doing podcasts, right? That person over there is, writing a book. Like that person over there is doing this, this, and this, and it's we get very lost, and then we start to get very clouded, right, in what are we supposed to be doing every day. And if we're not careful, we can start following other people's blueprints, and maybe that was successful for them, but it isn't necessarily your success because you're here for other things, right? Or you're here to do it in a very unique way that's unique to you. So the day-to-day stuff is just as important, and sometimes that can be what we overlook. So let's imagine then, what can happen with a lot of people is you might be doing one of these and not the other. So let's say if you're very visionary, like a lot of my clients are like really visionary, they can totally see where they're going and what they're doing, but they don't know what they're doing in the day to day. There's no almost like pulling it in and grounding it in, right? So sometimes that's what you need. You need the clarity on, okay, how do you execute that mission? How do you start bringing those visions to life? How do you start creating what out of these 25 gazillion things that your mind can hold, which handful of those are actually soul aligned for you right now? And if you were to move on those, that is going to be most impactful for your success and for the success of your mission. And then the opposite, sometimes people are really good at the grounding it in and the practical. And I have some of those clients as well, where they're really good at the doing. They're going to write the blog, they'll show up, they'll do the thing, they'll create the product, whatever they're doing all the doing, but then they haven't fully tapped into the bigger, like really expansive vision, the real expansive mission that they're here to lead often, or here to bring through in their own way, or participate in, or whatever that looks like for them. So that's why when you put these two levels of clarity together, when you have the day-to-day steps, you really know what you're doing, and you also know where you're going, bigger vision, bigger mission, and then you merge the two, goosebumps and magic happens, because that is when we are seriously on track. We're seriously on track to move forwards in our mission. So I invite you to just check in and replay this again if you need to kind of go through it in your own time, but really check in which of these feel really solid for you, which of these need more tweaking, or you need some more clarity around that, and then start to focus in on those pieces, because otherwise it's like we're floating through this world and we're getting pulled and pushed left, right, and center. Shiny object syndrome is a real thing where we get really, enamored with this new thing. I'll give you an example. Like when Reels came through, like let's say you're creating stuff online, right? And when Reels came through, I didn't get into Reels for a while, only in the last couple of months, maybe this year. Yeah, not even that long. I've been sort of doing them consistently because I really like doing the messages that way. But let's say I saw a lot of people Reels came through and immediately they dropped the strategies they were doing and they jumped onto this bandwagon of pointing and dancing and having these words pop out and lip syncing and all of that, which is totally fine if that's your thing. If that's fully aligned with you, do it all day long. But it's like a lot of people I saw that just jumped onto the bandwagon of that because it was a trend, and that's not having clarity on your own mission and your own daily action, right? So that's why the clarity is so important, because you can get so pulled out of your path onto these other aspects. So I hope that's helped, and just check in with yourself to see if which ones of these that you need, right? And I'll share with you in a second, if you're interested, or details on my event coming up, because this is one of the pieces that we're going to do. It's one of the 3 pieces that we're actually going to do in my event next week. So I'll share that in a second. So Neil's saying, can you ever have it all done though? Or will you always have more to do for your soul mission? Yeah, that's a great question. No, you can never have it all done. Well, you can. That's when you exit. Once we're done, our souls will exit the body and we will continue on our journey. That's when we're all done, right? But on a human level, as I know that's what you're asking, is this is definitely not about getting it all done, because we can't. How can we get it all done? And this is one for any of you who have that achiever mindset, and I definitely do. And I think I'm very different now. So the way I worked, like say 10 years ago, I would have tried to get it all done. We can't, because your soul mission, and here's a beautiful thing about your soul mission, imagine your soul blueprint holds it, massive mission, bigger than most of us even realize, right? We do our bit. We can only do the bits that we're ready for now, the bits that we can hold now, right? So imagine, like, I'm doing the bits I can do. I wrote my book last year. I'm doing live streams. I'm doing blah, blah, blah now. But the things I'm going to do 10 years from now, I can't do those things yet. Because one, I don't know what they are. They haven't dropped in yet. It isn't time. There is divine timing. I don't have the capacity for that. I probably don't have the resources to do those things yet that I will do 10 years from now, right? So I love that question. Yeah, because it's not about trying to get it all done, because that's very linear, right? We'll always have more. And our souls are so expansive. Remember, our human has a limited capacity, but our souls, there are no limits. So once we've achieved something and we've brought some visions through, or we've fulfilled a part of our mission, guess what will happen? Our soul will say, oh, let's do this. And then we do that. It's like, let's do this. And it's not coming from a place of we need to get it done. It's just expansion, right? It's like love. You don't just go, oh, I love you and I'm done. It's like, I love you and I'm going to continue loving you, and I'm going to continue loving you, right? Whether that's your partner, your child, your pet, fur baby, whatever, right? You just continue that love. You're not trying to get to an end point. So that's the same as our missions, right? So thanks for that question. I love that. Yeah, it's like totally expansive. We can't get it done. So let's just enjoy as we're doing it, right? But what I'm talking about here is getting clarity around what is available now, right? Because that's where, if we keep going through this lack of clarity, we're getting swayed, and then we're never really bringing in what we really want to bring in, what we're here for. All right, because we just get very distracted. And a lot of souls, by the way, this is maybe a tough one for some of us to swallow, but it doesn't mean just because you have this expansive blueprint in your soul that you're going to bring it through, because there are so many people that come into this life and they don't allow themselves to be activated. They don't step up. They don't make choices. They perhaps stay in a smaller version of what they are, and there are often regrets, I guess, later in life, right? There's a whole book, Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. There's an entire book on it. And it's not a given that we, just because we came in with these missions, that we're going to bring them through. So we really have to do our bit of choosing it. So I do talk a lot about choosing and making a decision, like really deciding, because unless we do that, people pass away with all this potential inside of them and they don't bring it through, right? So we really have to action it, but also we do it with expansiveness, right? Know that we're just trying to move along the journey and we get to expand. And I love all of that. So if you are wanting assistance on this, what I want to share with you is my event is next, what are we, we're Friday, we're Friday today. So next weekend, not tomorrow, Saturday, but the next Saturday, the 22nd of April, I'm holding this event. It's a very powerful, magical 4-hour deep dive. So it's called Channeling Your Success. And what it is, it's going to be 3 parts to this event. So it's going to be, the first part is exactly what I've spoken about today, is around clarity. So we're going to really deep dive into, I guess, these 2 levels that I'm speaking about, and they're going to be different for each person. And I'm going to channel through as well to assist you, so you get really direct soul level. It's going to shake you up to the core. It's like one of my favorite things to do. And we're going to get clarity on your mission, your true thing that you're here to create. And even if you do know that, we can expand you on that, me and my guides. And we're also going to look at the kind of day-to-day clarity as well, like what are the pieces for you right now. So we're going to get super crystal clear clarity for you in that event. So that's the first piece, which is basically what I've spoken about today. And then there'll be 2 other pieces where we're going to do the energy activations. And what that means is really, we're going to get you shifted energetically, which is very powerful. I'll talk about that on another day, I think, because there's more to say about that. But the actual activations, and what that means is you'll feel the difference. It is so powerful. It is such a joy to channel through for people, and for people to step into. It's so powerful. And then the third piece is looking at your next big moves. So it's really grounding all of this in and making it very practical, because the energetics are one thing, incredibly powerful, but we also need, again, to bring it into the real, like ground this stuff in and make it real. Because sometimes on this journey, we have to remember we are human in this 3D planet, and it's a physical planet. So it isn't enough to receive the beautiful missions and then have the activations and feel really aligned, and then like that's it. All right, so that we're going to do that third piece, and actually, what are your next big moves? So this is a very expansive event, not the kind of event, if you are, as I said at the beginning of this live stream, really, if you know that you're really at that phase of more internal, right? And we all go through those periods. I have lots of clients where I do that with. But if you're very much in the kind of healing, you've got a lot of emotional things coming up, and you're balancing all of that, this event, I'd say, probably wouldn't be the highest level for you at the moment, because this is more of, I guess it's more if you're at that place of you're ready. You're ready to either get unstuck and go for it, or you're not stuck, you're actually good, but you want to even expand to your next level. So those types of energies. And if you're not sure, feel free to message me, and you can just share a little bit, and I'll give you a little bit of guidance on whether this may or may not fit you, because, and obviously have a read of the information. So I'll leave the link wherever you're watching this in the video description. You can check out the link, or just go to theawakerevolution.com/event, or send me a message if you can't find any of that. And there are 5 spaces, and the reason, it's not like fake scarcity, it's just genuinely, I'm only going to hold that energy for a small amount of people, because the way we're going to do it's going to be so deep. I'm going to be channeling personalized channelings and guidance for everybody there. We're going really into it. Again, we're doing the energy stuff, so it's a lot, really intense, but in the beautiful, magical way. So that is not an event that I could do for kind of like 10 people. It's got to be small. It's a really nice energy though, so it'd be small and intimate. So I'd say probably 4 people, but I've said 5 as an absolute max. So it's going to be nice, and just it's an intimate, very deep dive event. So that is next week, Saturday 22nd of April. And whether that's for you or not, just I encourage you to just have a little think of these 2 levels of clarity, because this can keep you stuck. This can really keep you stuck if you're just kind of flying all over the place. So if you just laser into your own life, business, creativities, visions, and just see which of these 2 levels, the bigger mission or the day-to-day, or even if you need both, that's absolutely fine. Don't beat yourself up about that, because there are times when I've needed both, right? And we have to have that clarity. So just check in with yourself, and then you can, just make your decision accordingly. All right. So that is what I wanted to share with you. 2 levels of clarity for success on your missions and bringing your visions to life. And I want to encourage you to stay the course with it. Stay the course with it. Even if you doubt sometimes, if you feel tired or you feel a little bit lost, have some time away from all of this and just rest, replenish. I do that consistently. I get myself into the bath. If I'm just like, I don't even know, I can't see anything. And just give yourself some space. All right. So, whatever you're going through right now, wherever you are on your missions and visions and creativities, know that it's okay. It's all okay. There are options and possibilities wherever you are. You're never stuck. We're never stuck. It just feels like that. There are always options. Imagine, my guides always remind me that 360 degrees all around us. We've got all these trajectories. There are so many options and choices that we get to tap into, all right? Because you are an expansive, magical soul. That is what you are. And you are much more than just the human form. Remember, you are a higher consciousness who just so happened to drop into this physical human form, right? And you're living this human life. We all are, but we are connected to something bigger than this. This is real. This is what the powers that be, temporarily on this planet, are wanting to disconnect us from. So when we're connected, there's nothing more powerful. There's nothing more powerful than that. When we are aligned, we're focused, we know where we're headed. We don't need to know all the steps, but we know where we're going. We know why we're doing what we're doing. We know what the vision is. There's nothing that we can't create, and we're all co-creating, right? This is what I love. So that is it. I feel better for having live streams, because I think when I don't live stream, things just build. So I need to express. So thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for receiving the message live, and also if you're on the replay. And if you have any questions about my event on the 22nd, Channeling Your Success, message me, you know where I am, or comment here or on any of my posts, because I'll be talking about it more over the next, only over the next week, because it's coming up fairly soon. All right, so happy Friday, or whenever you're watching this, and I send you so much love, and thanks for joining me, and I will talk to you soon. I will not be leaving it 3 more weeks until our live stream, because that just happened. So I will be back here a bit more regularly on my page. All right, so lots of love, and yeah, have a great weekend. I'll talk to you soon.